Here are 10 potential dynasty stashes that you need to pay attention to in Week 18.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Welcome back. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is the Fantasy Football Hall of Famer, Michael Fabiano. And we have arrived to Week 18, probably my least favorite week of the NFL season.
Not even a question.
There's so many teams that are benching starters or going to bench starters. There's only, 4 or 5 games this entire week that actually matter, and 2 of them happen on Saturday. So what we decided to do is we're going to take a look at 10 players that we think could be dynasty assets down the road, who are going to be playing in Week 18. We're also going to get to some of our favorite starts at the end of the show in case you're in one of those wonky leagues that plays in Week 18.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Marcus Mosher, who is in some of the most wonky leagues I've ever heard of, is not playing in Week 18. Not once.
Not even I. Is that crazy, right? That's a bad sentence. Let's get to some players that we're watching, and I want to start with some quarterbacks because Trey Lance is going to be starting this week for the Chargers. We saw him last 2 years with Dallas, and nothing, right? He just did not show anything.
Yeah,
but
well worth that 4th round pick, Jerry.
Yep. But with the Chargers,
I had to get it in
there
there.
has been some growth. So in a league that desperately needs quarterbacks, and he's a free agent after this year, I'm excited to watch Trey Lance.
There is something inherently going wrong around the league at the quarterback position. Because when you see some of the dudes that are starting this week and who have started over the last month because of injuries, just the league is not handling this position correctly. So Trey Lance, first off, as highly as he was drafted, and let's be honest, did he ever really get a chance to be the guy? He got hurt in San Francisco. He showed some flashes. And then all of a sudden, Brock Purdy emerges out of nowhere, which is one of the best draft picks in the last 2 decades. Last pick of the draft. So they didn't need him anymore. And then, of course, Jerry, trades for him because Jerry's a dummy. And now he's been a backup now behind a guy who, is typically durable. So Trey Lance should get a shot to start somewhere next year. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are backups right now that should be starters in the NFL. And maybe that's not saying much about the quarterback position around the league or on the planet. You can't find 32 good human beings to play this position, but Lance needs a chance to be a starter. And so that's why I feel like if he has a good game against Denver, which is a tough atmosphere and probably not the best place you want to showcase your skills, but he is a guy that has to have a shot to start somewhere next year because the quarterback position is a disaster. He can't be worse than Tyrod Taylor. No. He can't be worse than Brady Cook. He can't be worse than Max Brosmer. He can't be worse than Chris Oladuncan, or have a say goddamn name in friggin' the Chiefs. I always butcher that name because I always think of Michael Olawokandi.
Yeah.
Who is like a basketball player. Anyways, he's better than all these guys. And I get it. Like, some of those teams had injuries, but I mean, geez Louise, give this kid a chance to start somewhere. And that's why I think he's a good stash.
So Trey Lance and Tanner McKee, who we're going to talk about in a second, I think these are guys that could potentially be in quarterback competitions next year. And that's what we're really looking for. I don't think any team is going to make Trey Lance like they're unquestioned.
McKee is still under contract though next year.
Well, but what I'm saying is I won't be surprised if a team trades for Tanner McKee and puts him in a quarterback competition. Like, I'll give you an example. I don't know that Cleveland's going to be able to draft a quarterback because of where they're picking. And I don't know if they want Shedeur to be the only guy there. So maybe you trade for someone like Tanner McKee, who's expected to play quite a bit this week for the Eagles. And it's Tanner McKee and Shedeur Sanders, and that's your quarterback competition going into camp. I think these two guys they're just not going to be unquestioned starters, but they should get an extended look next offseason.
So we're talking about McKee good. He's going to start, but what about Sam Howell? He's a free agent. Sam Howell, remember in Washington when they were the football team, Sam Howell was actually a fantasy relevant quarterback. Now he threw the ball to the other team.
They threw a lot of interceptions. Yes.
A lot of interceptions. I get it. But let me ask you a question. Would Sam Howell been a better option behind JJ McCarthy?
Probably.
I think so. I don't think JJ McCarthy, who's not durable, had a great backup situation. You know, Carson Wentz was Carson Wentz at this point. I wouldn't have thought Justin Jefferson would have gone in the tank if Sam Howell was the quarterback in Minnesota. So again, it's one of those situations where, and you know, I'm not behind the scenes, so I don't know exactly what's going on with some of these players, but like just statistically to me, you know, Sam Howell should be a backup in the league. So if the Eagles decided to move on from McKee or decided to just let Sam Howell walk and let him have an opportunity to be maybe not a starter, but at least a 2 next season.
Let's talk about a couple of running backs that are going to be showcased in week 18. And let's go to our Cowboys, Jaydon Blue, a player that a lot of people were excited about going into the year. He's done nothing. He's been a healthy scratch for most of the season, but Javonte Williams, Malik Davis, both very questionable to play in week 18. And even if those guys are active, it does sound like Jaydon Blue is going to get a ton of touches. And this is his opportunity to show that he can be part of this backfield in 2026. And we know how valuable a running back in the Cowboys offense can be. It's a big time opportunity for Blue.
And the Commanders are horrible against running backs. But here's
Giants, yes.
I'm sorry. The Giants are horrible against. I was thinking of last week. So here's the problem, though. If this kid was able to make an impact this year, why did he only play 45 offensive snaps? Why did he touch the ball only 28 times? You know, there was obviously a story that actually came from the Locked On Cowboys podcast about him being kind of lazy, and, you know, and then he posted something on social media saying, "Oh, that's not true." Right.
Pretty sure that ended up being the case.
Here's where he's interesting to me, at least somewhat. All 3 of the Cowboys running backs who opened the season ahead of him on the depth chart are all free agents. Javonte Williams is a free agent. Miles Sanders is a free agent. Malik Davis is a free agent. If the Cowboys don't bring back Javonte Williams, I think it's stupid. But that's Jerry Jones's middle name. But I would think that after what he showed that he could do in this offense, he's not going to cost a lot of money. Keep him. But if the Cowboys are dumb, I mean, and you're already starting to hear some rumbles about the George Pickens thing, so Jerry's probably going to mess that up too. But he has the same agent as Micah Parsons, by the way. He has the same agent as Micah Parsons. We know what happened with that earlier in the season. Javonte Williams should be a Cowboy next year. He should be. But if he's not, Miles Sanders is gone because Miles Sanders is not. No,
he had a major injury.
He was a product of the Eagles offense. That's what he was. Yep. You know, Malik Davis, you know, it looked good last week, but come on. So my hope is that Jaydon Blue, in a best case scenario, is behind Javonte Williams next year. But still, let's see what he's got, and or maybe doesn't have, because he was a player that we were talking about a lot in the preseason markets, and he completely did nothing.
2 more running backs I want to talk about really quickly: Tank Bigsby and Audric Estime. Bigsby's been really good whenever he's played in Jacksonville, in Philadelphia. To me, he's one of these guys that could potentially be like the next Javonte Williams.
Yes.
And then Audric Estime, who is expected to get a lot of the work this week for the Saints. I've always liked him. He's not particularly fast. He ran a 4.7 at the NFL Combine. But if you need a between the tackles player, I really like Audric Estime.
Both of these players should be stashed. And if you have them, especially Bigsby, I think you may hit on something next year. I love Tank Bigsby. I loved him coming out of Auburn. I love his game. He's an explosive type of guy. He averaged 6.4 yards per rush this year. Like that, I know it's a small sample size, but that's pretty good. And Bigsby was the reason why I was down on Travis Etienne for the Jags until they traded him to Philadelphia. And Bigsby is a free agent in 2026, which we are in right now. It's crazy. Imagine if he goes to a team that gives him a chance to start. You know, I mean, like, think of all the teams that could use a good young running back right now. There's a lot of them. Hell, I mean, like, Houston, right? Woody Marks has not
Perfect
been great,
example.
been
Yeah.
okay from time to time. But
Well,
imagine
I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kareem Hunt's going to come back. We're probably at the end of the line
Yeah,
for Kareem
no,
Hunt, but like
certainly, yes.
Bigsby could 100% take over the Kareem Hunt role, and that's been a valuable role. Even though with him not catching a lot of passes or breaking off any big runs, just because of all the goal line work, he's been someone that's been usable from fantasy perspective. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tank Bigsby or Audric Estime end up in a role like that.
Yeah, and Estime was good last week. He's got a shot to be the lead guy this week, unless the Saints go crazy and go back to Taysom Hill. But by the way, Chris Olave is not playing this week. I mean, they have no wide receivers. They have Kevin Austin Jr. is their. I mean, might as well be Stone Cold Steve Austin. They have nobody. So the tight ends are going to be involved a lot this week against Atlanta. But Estime is a free agent, so if he comes out and has a big game this week, last 2 games highly productive in the stat sheets. Somebody like Marcus said could give him a chance, at least as a secondary role next year.
All right, let's talk about some more running backs that we are excited to see in Week 18 who could have bigger roles next season. We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you, and Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, and channeling that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. You can trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all in one platform, and you can build and execute your own trades from your desktop with Robinhood's Legends Advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that is robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. If you haven't done so already, check out the new Everydayer Club. You're going to get ad-free episodes to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, plus so much more, including a Discord server where you can come chat with us, all available for just $5 a month. Go to lockedondynasty.supercast.com or check out the link in the show notes. All right, let's talk about some more players that we are excited to watch in Week 18. And this is a guy that I've liked for a while now, Ray Davis of the Buffalo Bills. Whenever he's in the game, he makes plays, whether that's on kick returns or when he's sprinkled into the offense. He's a good player. Now, he's blocked by James Cook, but I think he's somebody that needs to be on our waiver wire speed dial moving forward.
Yeah, and Ty Johnson's a free agent in 2026. So if they don't bring him back, Ray Davis would be the backup to Cook. And that's really interesting. What do the Bills do this week with James Cook? He currently is the NFL leader in rushing yards with 1,606, 47 more than Jonathan Taylor. And I think Derrick Henry's behind him as well, but he's a little bit further behind him. The last Bill to lead the NFL in rushing yards was, you guessed it, O.J. Simpson in 1976. I was 3 years old and Marcus wasn't even here yet. So that's a long time ago. But I would expect that Davis would get some burn. And I agree. I mean, when he's been able to play, he's actually been a pretty explosive type player. He's just buried behind Cook, but he could end up being the number 2 for Buffalo next year if they let Ty Johnson walk.
Let's talk about Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, Bill, who everybody loved going into the regular season. He, performed well to start the year, and then he really fell off. But this is a big opportunity. He's gotten more work the last couple of weeks. He played well against the Cowboys. I would expect the Commanders to give him a ton of work this week against Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, what kind of workload he gets. Chris Rodriguez is supposed to come back this week. So, but I would think if I'm the Commanders, I want to see all of Bill that I can. And he's actually been pretty good, in 2 of the last 3 or 4 games. Of course, when you play the Cowboys, that happens. But you also have to factor in this. Austin Eckler, free agent. Rodriguez, free agent. Jeremy McNichols, free agent. So Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt's the only Commanders running back who's basically going to be under contract beyond 2026. And so there's a chance, I'm not saying there's it may be like a Lloyd Christmas,
1 in a million.
right, chance. But he's got a chance to maybe play a prominent role for the Commanders, in 2026 and moving forward. I don't know that they'll bring Austin back coming off the Achilles. And I mean, not for nothing, the Commanders have to improve at running back, get a little bit younger, because Austin was really their lead guy after they traded away Brian Robinson Jr. So Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, even though for the season he'd been kind of a disappointment, and in redraft ADP he was picked ahead of Javonte Williams. That's crazy. At least now that you think about it, but he still has an opportunity there ahead of him because of the contract situation of the other three backs who would be his competition.
Another player that I wanted to mention is Dylan Sampson of the Cleveland Browns. We know Quinshon Judkins dealing with multiple injuries. The expectation is that he'll be back for training camp, but you just never know. Those are always complex injuries. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I was reading a report this morning. I cannot remember the source. I think it was Mary Kay came out that was saying that if Mike McDaniel were to get fired in Miami, he could be a potential option to replace Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. And that sort of feels like a lateral move in some ways. But if Mike McDaniel is the head coach, we know the running backs are going to gain even more value. Look at Devon Achane. Look at any running back, Raheem Mostert, any running back that's been in that offense. Dylan Sampson, somebody who has got a lot of speed, who's very similar to those two running backs. He's somebody that I'm going to be paying attention to this week.
I don't know why the Browns would get rid of Stefanski. I mean,
he's a good coach.
He's been a coach. Can't develop a quarterback. It's the Browns front office that stinks.
Yeah.
Let's give Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed. I
think Stefanski's good. I don't think he doesn't have flaws, but I do think he's the best coach that they've had since Belichick.
I wish that, if the Browns let him go, the Cowboys said, hey, Shoddy, you're going to kind of go back into some other role. We're going to bring in Stefanski, but I know that's not going to happen because Jerry has his puppet. But Sampson might end up being the starter for the Browns to begin next season. Quinshon Judkins' injuries were really gruesome. And you don't know how long it's going to take for him to come back. And Jerome Ford is a free agent. So Sampson is a guy who needs to be on your radar. There's no doubt about that as a stash in Dynasty. And remember, they don't have much else. It's basically Judkins and Sampson next year going into the season. And if Judkins can't go, Sampson's role is going to increase. I'm not saying that Sampson will take the job from Judkins because that's not going to happen. No. But while he's hurt, he could be the guy, and it also could be a pretty valuable handcuff.
Let's go to two receivers really quickly. The first one is Ryan Flournoy for the Cowboys. Now, the expectation is that George Pickens will return in 2026.
There's no expectation with Jerry Jones. There's none.
There's none. I get your frustration.
Let's hope, Marcus. Let's hope.
But that's not a guarantee. Flournoy has been really good this season. Whenever the Cowboys have called upon his name, he started a game in Carolina, had over 100 yards. I mean, he was really, really good when given chances. He's an uber athlete that can make plays down the field. And in this Cowboys offense that can easily support two receivers and a tight end and a really good running game, if he gets an opportunity for more work, I want him on my Dynasty rosters.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, I mentioned that Pickens has the same agent as Micah, and we all know what happened. And I'm worried that Jerry's going to go to Pickens, just one-on-one and have a conversation with him and do the same damn thing he did with Micah, which resulted in Micah getting traded. Listen, I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's been 30 years of this disaster. Like, you expect Jerry Jones to start getting smart all of a sudden? I don't know. But if the Cowboys ever let Pickens go, right, whether they franchise him or whatever the case may be, Flournoy is going to be a big-time sleeper next season. So that's a great call on your part.
Last one, and this guy's not a sleeper, but we just wanted to include him anyways because I love him. Luther Burden.
I gotta get you. Are you the type of fan who will wear a different jersey that's not a Cowboy? Okay, good. Okay,
right here in my office, I've got a Devin Hester and a Michael Vick jersey. So yeah, of course.
I gotta get you a Luther Burden for your birthday.
The Bears have to. I mean, the expectation is that the Bears are going to try to win this week because they can lock up the 2 seed. That means they would play Green Bay this week. Luther Burden is expected to return after getting banged up against the 49ers. It's a big time opportunity for Burden to show that he can be kind of the alpha in this passing game.
Yeah. I know you love him more than Odunze. I'm on the other side of the fence there, but I like both players a lot. Olamide Zaccheaus is a free agent after this year. And if they ever trade away DJ Moore, watch out, because I could see Rome and Luther Burden both having 1,000 yards next year.
And I think the expectation, at least we think, that DJ Moore will get traded this offseason. They're probably going to use some of that extra cap space and some of those draft picks that they get for Moore to fix the defense, which is awful. Is that a nice enough word for how bad their defense has been in the second half of the season? So we'll see. Let's talk about some of the top starts here in Week 18. If you play in one of those really weird leagues, or if you're just going on Prize Picks and trying to make some projections, let's talk about some of our top plays here in Week 18 next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame. It's a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. You just open the FanDuel app during Happy Hour. You're going to get either a boost, a bonus, or something special for you to enjoy during the basketball games that night. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what is dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Let's give you some of our top starts for Week 18. Again, if you're in a weird league that plays in Week 18, or you're looking for some prize pick projections, who are some guys that you want in your lineup this week?
First off, I hate this week more than any other week because it's more work, because every single day as we get closer to Sunday, and this obviously Saturday, there's games tomorrow, like dudes just keep being, declared inactive. They're not going to play, etc.
It's really hard to find the motivation.
Clayton Tune's playing quarterback for the Packers this week. I mean, it's horrible. So you want to stick with players who are playing in games that matter or are getting an opportunity to shine. So at quarterback, Trevor Lawrence is playing in a game that matters, and he's been one of the two best quarterbacks in fantasy basically since like week 8. And then Jackson Dart's playing the Cowboys this week. That's a win. So Jackson Dart's a very playable asset. Now at the running back position, we already mentioned some of them. Okay. Jaydon Blue's got a shot to show what he's got this week against the Giants. Tank Bigsby has a chance to show what he's got this week against the Commanders. Dylan Sampson, same kind of thing. Tyrone Tracy, who I think is obviously going to be behind Cam Scatterbo next year, but still, he also has a good matchup against the Cowboys.
Well, we should also mention with Scatterbo, that was a pretty gnarly injury he had.
Yep.
And I think we all love watching Scatterbo, but I don't think his play style is going to allow him to play 17 games every season. So we're looking at Tracy as one of the top handcuffs in all fantasy football.
No question about that. Wide receiver Michael Wilson. He had a massive game the last time he played the Rams. Wendell Robinson, again, I'm picking on the Cowboys because, I look
if he plays, he's been sick the last couple of days.
Yep, exactly. Luther Burden, if he plays against the Lions, really good play this week. Jacoby Myers, and let's say Parker Washington. Parker Washington's been the best wide receiver in Jacksonville the last 2 weeks. Ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. Geez Louise, what a just disaster that whole thing's been.
And we should mention that Jacksonville has to win this week because they need to win to clinch the division to either get, I believe it's a 3 seed that they're locked into.
They could still get the 1 seed. It's not going to happen, but
they would need to win and Denver would need to lose against Trey Lance and the Chargers. But you and I have been watching football for a long time. We've seen some really weird things happen in the final week of the season. So don't dismiss any of this.
Yep. No, I hear you. Darius Slayton's another guy. Yeah, if you're just trying to throw darts, no pun intended, because of his quarterback, it's a worthwhile dart throw. Tight end Hunter Henry, who's been very good for the better part of the last month outside of 1 game, and the Patriots have a lot of wide receivers who are hurt. Juwan Johnson is a very good play this week. Why? No Chris Olave. Johnson's going to get double-digit targets this week, I would think, against Atlanta, and he beat them for over 10 points the last time they played. AJ Barner on Saturday. AJ Barner's been good the last 2 games. And for the course of the season, he hasn't been reliable, but lately has been pretty good, and the matchup's pretty good, and they're playing in a meaningful game against the 49ers. I don't know that Kittle's playing this week or not. Right now, he's questionable. But if he doesn't go, and I know he's going to do everything he can to play, but Jake Tonges, again, who Marcus and I told you guys to start last week, if Kittle can't go, Tonges is definitely worth starting. And same thing with Colston Loveland in that game against Detroit.
This is one of these weeks where you've got to pay attention to all the pregame reports, inactives.
Yes.
And honestly, the most important thing is try to figure out what each team's motivation is. Like we talked about with Jacksonville, they need to win this game to lock up the division. They also have an outside chance at the number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. Whereas a team like Houston, they technically could still win the division. They would need the Jaguars to lose to Tennessee, but they're basically locked into the 5 seed. So would it be surprising if Woody Marks doesn't get 20 touches this week? No, I wouldn't be surprised if CJ Stroud and the Texans, they build an early lead and then they pull Stroud a little bit. So there are some players that are, more dangerous and risky this week. It's why we highly recommend don't play week 18, but we also recommend playing on Prize Picks where you can go, pick more or less on projections. This is the best week to do that.
Yeah. Can we also real quickly go into some of the potential either milestones or
incentives.
The incentives that some of these players have, right? So Caleb Williams, he has a chance to break the Bears record for passing yards and touchdowns. Which isn't saying much because they haven't had a lot of great quarterbacks. Sam Darnold earns $500,000 for each category hits in passer rating, touchdown passes, passing yards, and completion percentage. So he's also going to be wanting to fill up the stat sheet. Josh Allen, 40 plus touchdowns in 5 straight years. And that is a record. So I don't think he's going to play. He's probably going to take the first snap and be out of the game. So I don't know if that one's going to matter too much, but I've
got one for you.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott has a chance to lead the NFL in passing yards. And I don't believe a Cowboy has ever done that. Now, I think he's up by 40 yards on Matt Stafford, who is expected to play against Arizona.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Dak, who's going to maybe play a quarter or a half, throws it 20 times in the first quarter, right? Just trying to get 150, 200 yards to give himself a chance. I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, for somebody like Dak, who's been in the league, who's not making the playoffs this year. But it's really cool to say that you led the NFL in passing yards. And I think Jared Goff's another one that's in that range. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to do it this week as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love the matchup for Goff, but no doubt about that. I mean, Matthew Stafford, it's probably not going to happen, but if he throws for 438 yards, it would be a Rams team record for single season passing. So I don't think that's going to happen. Drake May, if he has 1 rushing touchdown, he would join Josh Allen and Jeff Garcia as the only players in NFL history with 4,000 passing yards, 30 plus touchdown passes, 400 plus rushing yards, and 4+ rushing touchdowns. Imagine that, Josh Allen and Jeff Garcia. Jeff Garcia, was actually a pretty useful fantasy quarterback. Back in the day. So there are some potential milestones and some potential incentives that players can hit, this week that would, fatten their wallets even more than it already is. So you need to keep that in mind as well.
I was going to say
that doesn't necessarily mean more than resting a player, but it's something to keep in mind.
Go over to overthecap.com. They have a big list of all the players that have reachable incentives this week. And you can honestly set your lineups based on just those incentives. As guys are trying to, get $250,000, $500,000 bonuses before the season ends.
How's this one? Saquon, $250,000 bonus if he gets to 1,500 scrimmage yards. He's 87 away. Did the Eagles give him an opportunity to take that home?
I think they just
did they just sit him? My guess is they just sit him.
My guess is they sit him and they just give him the incentive.
Yep. Tony Pollard, here's another one. $250,000 at 1,100 rushing yards and a $200,000 incentive, 7 touchdowns. Currently, right now, he's got 1,034 yards and 5 touchdowns. So the matchup isn't great. I can tell you that right now.
He's going to get
motivated.
Yeah. All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Dynasty ad-free, plus members-only Discord server access, and so much more. Head over to lockedondynasty.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we can send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. And on audio, make sure that your second listen is the Locked On NFL podcast. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy week 18. We'll see you right back here on Monday.